So I was somewhere thinking, as I often do, because I think thoughts sometimes. But no, for all serious, I was thinking about all NBA the other day. It was like yesterday, and I was just going through position by position. Well, I did backcourt front, two separate tweets. So I did first, second, third team who I thought was going to be on the teams. Right. First team guards, I had John Morant, DeMar DeRozan. Second team, I had Steph and Luka. The third team, I had Darius Garland and Devin Booker. I came back and I kind of fixed that because I said that probably should be Trey instead. Garland. Because it's going to be a point guard, shooting guard. Because they do point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward. So I get it because you said Garland team has the better record. This, that, the third, blah, blah, blah. But Trey is having an all-NBA type season. So we'll come back to that later, though.
I won't be surprised.
And I'll let you get your thoughts off on that.
I won't be surprised.
But my front court players, the first team I had Jokic, Giannis, Bron, first team. Second team I had Embiid at the center, 2 question marks because I don't know who the other 2 forwards going to be on the second team.
They don't just do front court players?
No, that's just All-Star game. And third I had Cat as the center and 2 more question marks for the other 2 forward positions. And I had the question marks because there's so many injuries this year at the forward position in general that I don't know who would actually make the teams because it's like I don't think Kevin Durant and Draymond is gonna have the games played, but they will be on there.
KD gonna be on
there. Think KD gonna be on there? Not because of his play, like I said, because of the games played.
Yeah, that's obviously why I hate the question. Right. But I think as long as he doesn't miss any more games this year, I think he'll be on.
Then I had then of course like Draymond, like I say Draymond. But then do you get the players like Miles Bridges and Andrew Wiggins because they're forwards and they're having good type of years, but they're not having all NBA seasons. But because of the injuries, you're limited. And I got to thinking, well, everybody wants DeMar to be slotted as a front court player anyway. So do you put DeMar in the front court now? He slides to second team because we all know Brown is going to be first team regardless of the Lakers season. I don't care how y'all feel about it. He's going to be first team All NBA. So it's going. I think
DeMar going to be a guard.
I think he's going to be a guard, and I don't care. Everybody, he's played more powerful than shooting guard. They play him with 3 other guards on the court at most times. Yes, he's going to be a power forward because he's 6'8". Like, he's not a power forward because he's powerful. He's powerful because he's on the court. But Kobe White, who's 6'2", Ayo, who's 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". So it's only right.
That ain't been a starting lineup the whole year because Kobe White has missed time.
No, I'm saying
so I get that he's played a lot of minutes at that point.
He's not.
He's mainly not even that he's just not a forward. He's mainly played the 2 years.
Right. So. 2 and 3 was that with me. So, but I just think it's going to be interesting because of the injury. So maybe KD does make it. Like I don't know if he's going to qualify because the game's played or not. And then you still got players like Anthony Davis, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, who hasn't played at all. So I think
Kawhi not going to be on it.
Kawhi not going to be on. Paul George either.
Paul was on his way.
So I think it's going to be a lot of open slots for players to be all NBA that might not be all NBA any other year. That's just me though. I was thinking some thoughts and I thought about that. But I'm John W.
For sure.
And it's the Hoopers Afternoon session. So you said we was talking earlier, you said you had some controversial things to say. And before we get to that, I'm going to bring a wise controversy. So, of course, every week the NBA puts out their, award leader ladder for awards. And
which I think is weird that the NBA does that.
Yeah, the NBA is not just some Twitter page or something like that. This is the official leader ladder for awards, and Defensive Player of the Year was one that came out last night. I seen it was Giannis in first place, Rudy Gobert in second, Mikal Bridges in third, and then after that, the next 5 was like Draymond, Jaren Jackson, Herbert Jones from New Orleans, and 2 others. I can't remember the other player's name. Marcus Smart. And I'm looking at this, and not to take away from anything from anybody when it comes to these awards, but I feel, and I know you said this last year, I think. I don't know if you said it on the show or not, but I know you said this. But a lot of the awards are starting to become reputation-based and not just who's having this stellar of a season to where, all right, he actually went out there and earned that. Like, I feel like Mikal Bridges being in the top 3 is, all right, he's actually earning that as a defender. Whereas Rudy Gobert and Giannis at this point in their careers are just, they're easy to throw up there in the top 3 for Defensive Player of the Year, if you're being honest.
Right, and people are going to say to that, the counter is going to be, well, they're only going to go to the advanced stats number to say why that they should be there.
Right.
But with Rudy Gobert, who he's won his Defensive Player of the Year, 2. You don't have 3?
They got 3, and they got back to back.
I know he has multiple where he's starting to get up there in the ranks of Mutombo and Dwight with having it. And he's earned his defensive player of the years or whatever, but I just don't think, respectfully, I don't think his years where he was just so dominating. I just think it was easy to give it to him, honestly, because it's one thing when you are one dimensional, because obviously we've had one dimensional centers window award before.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, Dikembe wasn't guarding guards on the perimeter. You're not gonna act like he was, but he also was really dominant in what he did, and we didn't have to just go to the advanced numbers to see it. But that's neither here nor there. To your point earlier, it feels like Giannis and Gobert are just in the conversations because of what they did before. That don't got nothing to do with this year. I don't care what Giannis did 2 years ago, and I'm tired of help defenders winning Defensive Player of the Year. That's just my take on it. That's my controversial take. I respect Giannis as a defender. I respect Giannis as a player that plays hard, period. Giannis is really good. He's top 3 player in the NBA right now. But he'll help defender. He doesn't necessarily guard the player. That's his position when he's there. He gets, if you, when the NBA posted it, their highlight that they posted of him playing defense is a help defensive play. All very important. But the defensive player of the year should start going to the players that's actually guarding players one-on-one. And some of that stuff don't come up in advanced numbers, and sometimes it even look. I remember Avery Bradley was always viewed really negatively by advanced numbers because he would guard the highest scorer. Sometimes people would score a lot of points, but then a guy like Robert Covington makes first team all defense because he leads league in deflections. Robert Covington can't guard anybody one-on-one, disrespectfully. That's just some old Philly hate. I can put it out there. But I just think like Bridges should have a good chance of winning this year. I think what Jaren Jackson has done, he should have a good opportunity to do it. And people that leads in certain statistics, like you always bring up Miles Turner, he just gets overlooked every year. He's always at the top in blocks or whatever, but he gets overlooked because leading in blocks doesn't mean much. Right. But the advanced number that equals to lead in blocks means something. I just don't never get it. I don't see how a person can lead in blocks consistently, really quite easily. Honestly, he usually got like a block lead on the person that's second. He usually wins, so he usually in the lead pretty comfortably. I don't know the numbers right now, so I'm not gonna act like I do, but he usually has it pretty comfortably. And he doesn't even get considered, but somebody that's on a team that's overall where the team defense is really good, which JJ Redick shot him. He brought up that years ago about why like Drew Holiday probably be in the conversation more, but he was always on such bad defensive teams. You know, you can't really see what he does, but either way, long rant ended. Tired of help defenders winning that award. I think Mikal does have a good chance of winning this year. I think Jaren Jackson has a good chance of winning. I respect Giannis and Gobert defensively, but they're not the best defensive players in the NBA. And I don't care what advanced numbers you're going to put at me to send it to it because they just ain't.
And I get what you mean. And I think once you start thinking like that, and I think once voters, because I've seen it, especially this year more than any other, I haven't seen it lately, but it has been real conversation. Which do you value more? Not necessarily the help defender, but the perimeter wing defender,
or the interior guy,
who can defend, multiple people coming in at the rim. He's gonna protect that thing. Whereas with the wing defender, you can kind of play him out of the defense to where he doesn't matter. But I think,
man, my fault, because real disrespectfully to Rudy Gobert, he's really great at what he do. And as I said earlier, Mutombo wasn't playing people on the perimeter either, but you're not picking on the best defensive player on the court, even if you're just an interior defender. Right. He gets literally picked on. So, but that's your conversation, because you somebody. Which do you prefer? Because you were a great defender.
I prefer the wing defender because if we're out there and all right, LeBron is. I'm just gonna go LeBron because we've seen two different players win Finals MVP because of the defense they played on LeBron. Those being two wing defenders. Kawhi and Andre Iguodala.
I take Iguodala.
And if I can stop with this perimeter, with your best player, who's a perimeter player, who's gonna touch the ball and affect the game in so many different ways, if I can stop what he's doing, I can essentially stop the rest of your offense. I even take it back to Phil Jackson and his whole thought of training of why the Bulls were so good defensively and why they changed the whole narrative of we gonna win with a big man. If you can't throw the ball down there, what's the point? And if you have not one but two of course, they were otherworldly wing defenders. But if you have players on the wing who can negate all that, throwing the ball down low and disrupting passing lanes, especially with how you can kind of roam a little bit and still play man to man, if you can disrupt all that, and you have a solid rim protector, Golden State, Draymond Green, I feel like you have a far better chance of winning championship because you're disrupting where the ball starts and not where the ball ends.
And I think at the end of the day, perimeter defenders, especially those perimeter defenders in that mode, Bridges, Kawhi, Ron Artest, Tony Allen, at the end of the day, they're always going to be more versatile than the interior defender because you can literally take them away. All you got to do is put them in pick and roll. And now, that's why when you got guys like Evan Mobley, who's super special, he's going to protect the rim. And if you try to put him in pick and roll, he's going to guard you on the exterior also. That make it different. But when you're just an interior defender, once they put you out on the perimeter, they taking your best thing away from you.
Not only can they put you on the perimeter, they can take you away from where the ball is at in general to even be a help side
So
defender.
now you just out of it. So I always thought that I think we've grown to learn that having a perimeter defender is more important because what team has won was just the interior defender in the last however many years. Because even people would go initially to Ben Wallace, but we was talking about Tayshaun Prince earlier. He was the best defender on their team, honestly. Mikal Bridges is kind of in that mode too. But Tayshaun was really important what they do that allowed Ben to just really be that help defender. So stop giving help defenders more love than the primary defender out there. Giannis and Rudy Gobert are very disrespectfully not the defensive player of the year this year or next, and they shouldn't win because they won it 2 years ago. Actually, look at the awards, not just the advanced statistics. Look at it all. I like that Marcus Smart is even in the conversation. Marcus Smart has always been class on defense, but how many perimeter defenders have won like ever? Like 5 because they just get overlooked because you're just gonna give it to the guy that lead in rebounds and stuff like that.
Right.
Defensive rebounding shouldn't even really play a part in defensive player of the year, in my opinion. Just because you can get defensive rebounding literally off of free throws, that don't have nothing to do with defense. But if you think about perimeter defenders ever that's won the award, so Jordan, Payton, Kawhi, Ron Artest, Michael Cooper, shout out to Cooper, Moncrief, and that's like it. And it's like how? It's like how? It really shouldn't end with that. Listen, it's about to happen again, and it continues happening to even in the era that's more versatile than ever. They still continue to kind of overlook those players. Ben Simmons should have won it last year. I think Mikal should get it this year.
I'm sure. But enough about defense because we know the fans.
Yeah, nobody cares about defense anyway.
So this has been.
Jabari Parker say they don't play defense anyway.
This has been an explosive week in the NBA just off individual score performances. Yeah, a week ago month we just had back-to-back 60-point games. And shout out to Edgar Bunker on Twitter. He said, I think this is the first time we've had back-to-back 60 games since LeBron and Melo was 62 and 60.
Yeah, this is the first time it's in back-to-back games.
Yeah,
that worked back-to-back nights. That was, but this is the first time since then. And they did it against the same teams.
Like I say, Kyrie had 60, Cat had a 60, Brown had 2 50s, KD had a 50, Kyrie had a 50.
Yeah, Tatum scored 50. And then overall, if you just look at the scoring overall, he had 40s. Gary Trent scored 40 a week ago. Josh had 40 a week ago. Josh Hart. It's been a lot of scoring in the last couple weeks. Shout out to our homie X. X said that this time of year.
I see that.
Hey, I'm gonna mess up what you say, but you can see the players that are kind of getting ready to gear up for the playoffs.
They also play there, and they already won. They just came off a break.
Right. So, and that's what I said too when I first saw it happening. So a lot of scoring. Scoring is up here in the NBA right now.
What's been your favorite one? I know everybody loves the Kyrie 50 piece because that was kind of a crazy game because how efficient he only took 19 shots. Like say he scored 60, had 30 shots. Cat had 60, which I don't think nobody was expecting Cat to score 60. But which one has been maybe your favorite one?
Jason Tatum. Here's what's the toughest. Kyrie did it against the Magic. Shout out to the Magic, but it's the Magic. His 50 was against Charlotte. Jason Tatum really came. And I'm talking about Jason Tatum's 50 against Brooklyn. Not even his 50 against Charlotte. He's had 2 50s this month also. But against Brooklyn, because that was a game that Brooklyn kind of needed to win. KD had 37 that night. So he really went out and got it. Jason Tatum's been hooping the past couple months, really.
All right.
So I like Jason Tatum's 50. And after Jason Tatum's, I like KD's 50 against the Knicks because especially that the last shot down in the end, they needed all of those 50 because he talked about how he didn't know that Seth wasn't playing until they was announcing the starting lineup. So I think that's the most shots he's taken in his career. He knew he had to be aggressive out there. He was doing what he wanted against. He really only started missing because he got tired and he just was shooting because he knew what the team needed. But he really shot way better, and he still ended up like 51%.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Jason Tatum and then KD's 50 against the Knicks on TV.
Sure. Like I said, it's just been a big week of scoring. Like I said, can't forget the Trae Young going back with the 40s.
Should we indulge in the Kyrie conversation that everybody's talking about now? Well, I guess it really it's kind of just that it's just been brought back up. But they're saying after his 60 last night, he's the most skilled player ever. Which I think that was a conversation maybe a year or two ago. And obviously after it's a big night and it's more important,
it's always gonna be brought up.
It's gonna be brought back up, or people just kind of like reaffirming it, or the people who didn't agree before. Or
agreeing with it.
Yeah. So it's gonna, I'm not mad that it came back up because it's gonna happen. They could be talking about him not being able to be vaccinated playing, but instead they asked him to see the most skilled player ever. So I'll ask you. Let's just indulge for a second. Is he the most skilled player ever?
The most skilled player ever.
And I mean, shot the knowledge what he kind of quantified for him as most skilled player, which he says yes, was scoring for him, was shooting, not scoring, my bad, but shooting, finishing at the rim, and ball handling. Those are the main three things that he looked at.
Okay, so
those don't have to be. They don't have to be your criteria.
No, that's actually quite close to mine because mine is footwork, ball handling, finishing at the rim, shooting. Post, like how post, not even necessarily post play, but post control. Can you go down there? Can you control your body?
Exactly.
And realistically, like Kyrie, Hakeem, Jordan, Kobe, Jokic, outside. No, we never. I brought it up before, but Jokic can do a lot of things he do because of his footwork. And I think when you put Kyrie in that list, and he's, of course, we're gonna go. He's 6'2" as well, being able to do it all. Being on that level, especially when you think about
6'2" thing. Yeah, that's impressive for the post.
Post and finishing at the rim. Other than that, no, it doesn't matter. But I think realistically, I think it's easy to say yes, but I think if there's an argument for a player like Hakeem who could do all those same things at damn near 7 feet tall, excuse the language. And I think that matters as well because you don't expect a 7-footer, regardless of where he's handling the ball, to be able to handle the ball and have the footwork that he does.
Exactly. You expect him to be clumsy, just like you could say, just like Kyrie is going to get the credit for being able to play in the post, and you don't see a player his size playing the post like that. You can give a player handling the ball the same way. So yeah.
Is he the most skilled? I'm not going to say definitively yes, but is he one of the 5 most skilled players ever? Absolutely.
Yeah. I think a few things on that. I think it's always going to come down to just to what you prefer.
I feel
with that, and I think that the notion, because I saw Evan Fournier tweeted that is easy, it's not close. I think that the notion that it's not close is dumb, in my personal opinion, because like you just literally said, he is skilled in everything that he does, but to see Hakeem do some of the things that he does,
Kevin Durant,
and I wouldn't. That's automatic. But to see the things that a player like Hakeem could do, or see Joel hit step back threes and think that it's stupid to think that one of them is comparable. He's the best player ever. So it's not dumb and it's not easy. He's not by far the most skilled player ever. But when I say I'm not mad if that's your choice, because he does fit the criteria in everyone.
I think he's.
I don't
think it's by far. I think he's one of the players that uses all his skills at every moment of the game.
But
like he does it
because of the area that we play in, because it wasn't also.
No, I think that's just the player.
Because it also wasn't for Hakeem to shoot threes. So Hakeem could have shot a few threes.
I'm not even necessarily. I'm just saying the basis of it. Shooting, post control, finishing at the rim, footwork. I'm saying he does not when you get to specifics like that. At a super high level.
Yeah, because obviously Hakeem can't handle the ball like Kyrie.
Right, and he does them at a super high level during game times, like most time at the same time.
Yeah, it's not just I see him practice.
Right. So,
but I think I kind of lean, with all that said, I think I do kind of lean with him being the most skilled, because he does do all of those things well that everyone does, and then I think just to throw in the extra little, because when you're all at the top, you got to have some little that push you over the edge. Hakeem might be a little better in the post. Jordan might be a little better in the mid range. Iverson might handle the ball better. Kyrie finishes it. Everybody do a little bit better. I just think the way that Kyrie can do it all with both hands, especially when it comes to finishing, is probably why I give him the extra little nudge. Because I can't just say that his footwork to me isn't better than Jordan's. His post game isn't better than Jordan's or Kobe as a wing player. His ball handling, I mean, I think he's a better dribbler than Iverson.
I was going back and forth. I think his crossover is better, but I think
you got
just controlling the ball. That's why I think when I think of ball handling.
Right.
That's why I think of ball handling control. And I think a lot of people think ball handling think crossover. Like, no, how well do you control the ball?
And Kyrie controls it, but I can pull up highlights where he got to go back and get it too.
No, yeah, that's why I get that. I give Iverson edge on ball control and handling because of course everybody gonna drink up all the carries. Like everybody carries. Shut up.
They carry more now than what they did then.
Kyrie loses the ball and regains it more than Iverson did. Yeah, and that's why I give Iverson the edge for control of the ball.
But to wrap it up for me, I guess when I wrap it all up and I lean the most skill, it's a combination of somewhere between Kyrie, KD, Hakeem, and those are really the three for me. And I think Joel is starting to get up there because of how he shoots the ball. But I can't disregard the fact that I think that Hakeem would have shot a lot more threes if that's just what the game was about. But that's not what it was about. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of Joel Embiid, Philly has had a couple bad losses over the past couple games. Of course, we all know the Brooklyn loss. And then the other night against Denver, where they were in control of the game for most of the game, especially when Embiid was in the game, he lost it there at the end. And it was a great battle between Joel and Jokic, both putting up, having big games for their team.
Both did what you expect. Jokic almost got a triple-double. Joel got 35 and 13.
But the game came down to Bones Highland hitting a lot of balls of flamethrower in that fourth quarter and a lot of big threes. But Philly's bench is super thin. And it's not thin because they don't have the players. It's thin because they don't have the players that they need. I think them keeping Maxey over Seth Curry was smart, but I think as far as fit go, Seth Curry would be better because they don't have not one knockdown catch and shoot player on this team at this moment in life.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be George's
Yang and Kirk Mars.
Right, and Kirk Mars, but Kirk Mars, I don't think it's just a conspiracy. But I don't think James Harden like playing with Kirk Mars because he takes a lot of bad shots. That one of the first games he played when he took a couple of bad shots and James was looking at him like, "What are you doing?" And Doc took him out the game, and I haven't seen them on the court together since, for real. But they gave up, and they're even a part of the issue in that fourth quarter. Joel played the whole fourth quarter. He was tired, so they literally traded.
Don't have a big man.
Yeah, literally traded your backup center.
They got DeAndre Jordan.
Literally traded your backup center. DeAndre Jordan wasn't playing on the team that he was on before. I always say this thing, Goran Dragic was different because he wasn't playing because he didn't want to go to Toronto. But I always hate when teams sign these players that, like, DeAndre Jordan was supposed to start for the Lakers this year. He literally couldn't play on the team that he came from. He was just going to magically come there and be better. He couldn't even get minutes as a backup center in LA. What do we think was going to be different in a week? He's going to look good for a game, and then he looks how he looks now. Right. DeAndre Jordan, no disrespect, because you should play as long as they give you them checks, keep signing them. But he's kind of done, respectfully. But you give up. I'm sure Andre Drummond led the league in rebounding for backup centers. He had a couple 20 rebound games this year, like some of the most in Philly history since Moses Malone. We talked about that on the show. You trade Seth, who not only is fourth all-time in three-point percentage, all-time in NBA history with three-point percentage, but he's leading your team in that, which kind of covered up the other, like, Yang can shoot.
He ain't shooting like Seth.
Yeah, but he's not a real sniper though. He's trying to get to that. Korkmaz has moments, but he's so inconsistent to have to depend on those two to be your main two shooters is terrible. And then they just haven't figured out the Tobias situation. Honestly, his best game was the Brooklyn game because everybody else, once they were getting destroyed, he was the only one that was like, "Nah, let's play." You got to give him credit for that. Tobias was still trying to hoop that game. He didn't want to give up. But yeah, they have no shooting. Their backup center situation is terrible, and they don't really want to play Paul Reed, who he was the G League MVP last season. He doesn't get much minutes or whatever. So it's still a lot to figure out in Philly.
Right.
And they look good in those first few games, but then once they start losing a little bit, that's what people are going to start diving into. Well, who are they playing in those games? And you see the Knicks twice. You start looking at it, and you got to build a chemistry, so those wins still matter. You still with a new team, and y'all were able to pick this up real quick. But this is where you get to the hard part, and you do the work to really be a championship team.
Not for sure.
So they can't fold now. Nang is their shooter. Court Miles is the shooter. They need Danny Green. He ain't made a shot since LA. Yeah. He ain't made a shot since LA. He missed him. Remember that last shot he missed in the bubble?
Yeah.
I ain't seen him make a shot since then. But they got it. Because Maxey was the right choice.
No, yeah, he absolutely was.
They could have kept fourth out time too.
Right. I think Maxey fits because James, just for those moments where it was supposed to be kind of like the James Harden Kyrie thing, where James Harden doesn't have to have all the ball handling responsibility.
I just think it's interesting that he automatically became obviously he gets a lot of his scoring in transition and stuff, but they're gonna have to figure out how to really get Tobias involved.
No, yeah, and I think that's the big. And Tobias is always the big missing piece on his teams, especially these Philly teams. Like, how do you get him involved? And I think having a player like James Harden, who, even at this point in his career with the ball in his hand, still want to orchestrate the whole offense to how he wants it to be when he's on the court. I don't care if Joel Embiid's on the team or not, he still does that. And that loses Tobias Harris, get losses in the mix because of that, because Tobias Harris isn't a catch and shoot, stand in the corner type of player.
Right, and they're really getting stuck in playing two ways. It's either pick and roll to death, which people wonder were they going to be able to do that, but they're either pick and roll to death and really not put, because you can pick and roll and still put Tobias in certain positions, but they pick and roll and he's really just standing around, or they get lost and just throwing it to Embiid in the post, and he's not even necessarily trying to get buckets, he's just trying to get to the free throw line. So that kind of throw off the flow of the game. So Philly got a lot to figure out still.
No, they definitely do. And I think, of course, they're going to figure out they're still top three in the East right now at this point.
Yeah, they're figuring it out. They had a lead in that Nuggets game. They should have won.
They absolutely had a lead in the Nuggets game. And I think, like I said, Joel Embiid was definitely gassed in the fourth quarter, and I think he still has that problem. I don't think he's ever fully in shape at any point of the season. I think right now, if he's ready,
better when he Drummond was a good backup.
No, yeah, Drummond. I think not having a reliable backup. You can't spell him any minutes. Yeah. And I think
it's the most games he's played in his career. He's played a lot of games.
No, yeah, he hasn't necessarily missed a game. And I think once he realized that at the end of the season, he's gonna take his conditioning to another level. And next year, maybe because like I said, he's hurt. Like this first year, he hasn't necessarily been hurt, which does go into not necessarily your condition, but your game condition, which is a totally different thing that I don't think people understand.
Because he just missed the COVID time this year, but I think he was doing well because he's clearly been in better shape this year.
No, yeah,
but now losing Drummond, it's like, all right, I was already playing career high minutes, and now you're playing a little more minutes, that extra little 5 minutes.
That's killing him.
Like I said, he had to play the whole. He played the whole fourth quarter the other night. I don't think that's happened too often this year because it's like, dang, even if you figure out how to beat, because it's not like Drummond is locked down defensively, but he's still gonna be elite rebounding, so he's gonna steal some rebounds. You're not gonna just kill him on defense, and then he still has a little jump hook here or there where he gets some buckets. So Drummond was a good spell for him. So they got to figure that out.
Right. And just speaking of the winning team, like I said, the Denver Nuggets, Jokic had a big night. Yep. Bones Highland really closed the game out for him and pushed him over the edge at the end. And how he was shooting, I know he hasn't been super consistent like a Cade Cunningham or an Evan Mobley or one of those players, Scotty Barnes. But I think there's room for him on first team All-Rookie. Especially because Jalen Green has had a good season, but he hasn't had a favorable media season for the people who vote on those.
He's had a good second half since the All-Star break.
But I think it's wrong for Bones Highland to be on that first team All-Rookie. He probably won't make it, but I think it's wrong for him. Especially because
I'm trying to think when they do it. Yeah, he got. That's what it's gonna come down to. I think Jalen would get the nod over him though. But he's gonna be in the conversation.
Sure.
Because they're both gonna be on the guards, and K's gonna be on the team. So one of them is gonna have to be the second guard. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Jalen will probably get it because he's been playing better. But I probably will vote Bones.
Right. Now, before we get out of here, I want to bring this back up real quick. You really don't think Trae Young is gonna be all NBA this year? Realistically,
I think he has a better chance now because the Hawks are back to 500. Under 500, I think Garland would have got denied because Cleveland is in 6th place. And we've seen the voters go towards the player. We've seen that they'll pick a player that's winning over a player that's losing. Right. And it's a matter of when, because they're about to start voting now. Yeah. You know, think about it. So it helps that Hawks are winning now. You're doing what you're doing now. But when they were still teetering under 500, like they in 10th place, being in 9th, I think helps more than being in 10th, being the last play in 10. So it's gonna be tough. I wouldn't be surprised to see some people give him that vote. And it's people voting. People don't like how Trae Young plays. I don't like how he plays all the time. Honestly, but people don't like how he plays. People don't like how he plays sometimes. And, absolutely true. And what's funny is Garland plays similar, but he doesn't shoot as many deep threes, obviously, and he doesn't, I guess. Foul bait. Yeah, foul. I'm trying to think of the word, but I guess that's what people call it. He doesn't foul bait as much. But they played foul merchant. But yeah, I don't know all that. But as far as like playing in the pick and roll and playing with your centers, floaters, threes, small guard, they play really.
We've made that compared to Shot Ball Fake podcast also. Off the ball, he said the same thing. Like, no, yeah, Garland.
I would vote Trae, but it's not what you got to just think what people gonna think. And this is why he didn't make the All-Star team. But like I said, it helps that they're winning. Yeah, last season. But it helps that they're winning, and especially not even just that, getting back to 500, finishing the season over 500 helps. I wouldn't want to vote an All-NBA that this team didn't finish 500 either. Only player on the All-NBA team. On the All-NBA team this year, whose team will be on the 500 is LeBron James. And he's second in the league in scoring, 29 a game.
Yeah.
But honestly, if certain players weren't hurt, he'd probably be third team.
Yeah. Third team?
Yeah, he'd be third team because KD was leading the league in scoring. He was in MVP conversation. Paul George, the Clippers are better than him. Paul George would have been right there. LeBron would have been third team. It's a good chance, but it's going to be tough. I will vote Trae, especially as long as the Hawks finish above 500, which got a good win against Portland. He dropped 40 on them. Who the Hawks got next real quick before we get out of here? I don't know. As long as they can keep winning, don't finish in last place as far as the play-in goes. Lead that to Charlotte because Charlotte was ahead of them at one point. And that's what we got next, Charlotte. So, yeah, go ahead and beat Charlotte. Take care of Memphis. That's a good game with Ja Morant out there. Take care of them. Beat the Pelicans. And then they got the Knicks on two. That's going to solidify his All-NBA spot. Knicks at Madison Square Garden. He didn't play the first time. He played this time. That's a Tuesday game. Pretty sure it'll be on TV. 7:30. Pretty sure that'll be on TV. Probably drop 50 on them boys.
I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna get that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done.
But all right, since we're done right now, you got anything else? I mean, we're done right now. But go ahead.
No, just always appreciate all the viewers. Shout out to the Off the Ball Network. We're here every Wednesday at 12 o'clock for the afternoon session. Every Monday, 3 p.m. on Nothing But Net channel through the Dash Radio app. All of this playback is on our YouTube page. So just go to YouTube, search the Hoopers Pod, subscribe, like, comment, all that cool stuff. And anywhere podcasts are available, just look for the Hoopers Pod.
You got W?
Appreciate it.
This was the Hoopers Afternoon session.
Definitely taking trade over Garden right now.